Hello everyone, my name is Uakbayev Nurbol. I'm math teacher at Nazarbayev Intellectual School of Chemistry and Biology in Kizlochda. Today we will be talking about solving equations and inequalities containing irrational terms. So first of all, we will divide students into pairs of four, according to the different equations which are shown on the board. Here they contain radicals and you can see them projected on the board. So pair 1 solves the square root of x minus 1 is equal to 2, and pair 2 solves the square root of x squared minus 11 is equal to square root of 1 minus x, and so on. Okay, let's go to the lesson objectives. The first one is to develop the solution of algorithms for rational equations and inequalities. Type of the square root of f of x is equal to c, a constant number, and then square root of f of x is equal to square root of g of x, and then square root of f of x is bigger than c, and square root of f of x is less than c. And the next objective will be applying solutions of algorithms for rational equations and inequalities. Type of square root of f of x is equal to c, square root of f of x is equal to square root of g of x, and then square root of f of x is bigger than c, and then less than c. Let's talk about the success criteria. At the end of the lesson, you should be able to understand the generalization and systematization of methods of solving irrational equations. You should learn about complicated types of irrational equations. You should be able to develop the ability to generalize and sort ways of solving irrational equations. And also you should be able to solve inequalities containing radicals. Now let's talk about the terminology that we are going to use on our lesson. I will be reading them in 3 languages: English, Kazakh and Russian. So the first one is irrational number, irraционал сан, иррациональное число. Irrational equation, иррациональный теңдеу, иррациональное уравнение. Range of solutions, шешімдер жиыны, множество решений. Extraneous solution, бөгде түбір, посторонний корень. Square root, квадрат түбір, квадратный корень. Radical, радикал, радикал. Power, дәреже, степень. So now let's talk about the useful sets of phrases for dialogue and writing. I'm gonna read them. By squaring the new equation can have more solutions than the original one. Test each solution. We test this value and we see that it is false. Our solutions don't seem to match. The algebraic solution seems to give a more accurate result. Our solutions are different because a range of solutions are possible here. The first step is to, then you should, the next step is to, finally, the solution is. Now I'm going to give you definition for irrational equations. Irrational is an equation in which the unknown variable is contained under the root sign or under the sign of the operation of raising by a rational fractional degree. Methods for solving irrational equations usually based on the transformation of the irrational equations into rational, which is either equivalent to the original irrational equation or is a consequence. Now let's create an irrational equation. Here students will work in pairs. They will remember the solution of algorithms for irrational equations for each group and explain each other. Students receive the following cards with the following expressions: square root of x minus 2, square root of 2x minus 4, square root of x plus 5, square root of x plus 27, 4 minus x, 6 minus x, 3 minus x, and 1. So they should make equations using these cards, and students are asked to express their opinion about the topic of the lesson. So this exercise will help them think critically and analyze the given data, and they will be able to systematize the data. Also, they will learn how to correctly use mathematical language. Now let's talk about the irrational equations. Here, learners are asked to write the solution to the algorithms. So, by solving all these equations, they will come up with a sort of a conclusion, and they should be able to make these statements that square root of f of x is equal to g of x. And from here, how we solve? We solve the system of equations, two simultaneous equations, like f of x is equal to the square of g of x, and g of x should be higher than 0 or equal, or i.e. it's positive. Example 1. Square root of x is equal to 1 minus x. We should solve the given irrational equation. So what we do? First, we have to take the square of both sides. So we get x is equal to 1 minus x squared, and 1 minus x should be bigger than 0 or equal. So that's an inequality. And from this, we will get a quadratic equation: x squared minus 3x plus 1 is equal to 0. And from the second inequality, we get x less than 1. And by solving, we get the discriminant is equal to 5, and the roots will be 3 plus or minus square root of 5 divided by 2. And by using these roots, we get the final answer, which will be 3 minus square root of 5 divided by 2. Okay, example 2. Here we have an irrational equation: x plus 3 is equal to 3 multiplied by square root of x plus 2. So what we do, again, we are taking the squares of both sides, and the second inequality will be x plus 3 bigger than 0 or equal. So from the first equation, we get a quadratic equation which is equal to 0. And by solving it, we get a discriminant of 45, which leads to the roots of 3 plus or minus square root of 45 divided by 2. So by analyzing all these roots, we get to a conclusion that the final answer will be x is equal to 3 plus square root of 45 divided by 2. And the second one will be with the negative 3 minus 45 divided by 2. Now let's solve a different example. Here we have two radicals. First one is the square root of x squared minus 2x, and the second one is square root of x minus 1. So what we do here, we are taking the squares of both sides, and then we write that x minus 1 is bigger or equal to 0, because under this square root we cannot have a negative number. So by solving the first quadratic equation, we get a second one: x squared minus 3x plus 1 is equal to 0, and x is bigger than 1. From here we are getting simultaneous equations, inequalities, and by analyzing all these roots, we get the final answer. It will be x is equal to 3 plus square root of 5 all divided by 2. Now students will work individually. Here are the problems for you. The first one is square root of x is equal to 7 minus x. The second one is the square root of x minus 1 is equal to 3 minus x. The third one is the square root of x squared minus x is equal to 2x minus 3. And the last one is 2 multiplied square root x minus 2 multiplied by 4 minus x, and all should be equal to x minus 2. So when you solve all these irrational equations, I will show you the results. Here are they. So these are the answers. As you can see, 2 of them are irrational and the others are rational. Okay, now let's go to irrational inequalities. Here learners are asked to write the solution to algorithms, so they should make their own conclusion about how to solve inequalities, and then we will compare your results with mine. Here are 2 possible ways. The square root of f of x could be less than g of x, or it can be bigger than the g of x function. So in the first case, if it's lower, well, we are taking the square of both sides, and then f of x should be bigger or equal to 0, because under the square root we cannot have a negative number. And then the right part, the g of x, should be also bigger or equal to 0. And for the second one, when the square root of f of x is bigger than g of x, well, what we do, we also take the squares of both sides, and g of x should be here, as you can see, less than 0, so it should be a negative, and f of x should be bigger or equal to 0. Okay, now let's move on to example 4. Here we have a irrational inequality. Square root of x is bigger than 1 minus x. So we are solving simultaneous equations and inequalities. Here x is bigger than 0 or equal, 1 minus x is less than 0, and x is bigger than 1 minus x squared. So we are taking the squares, and we are using the algorithm that was shown you before. Okay, and by solving these inequalities we get the answer, which is x3 minus square root of 5 divided by 2. As you can see from the coordinate line, you can see the answer. So it's the intersection of these 3 answers. So it will be 3 minus square root of 5 divided by 2, and x is bigger than it. Okay, so example 5. Here we have again an irrational inequality. So we are taking the squares of both sides, and because the g of x is bigger than f of x square in the root, so we also use the algorithm, and we get 3 inequalities, a range of answers where x is bigger than 1 or equal, x is between 0 and 2 included, and we have a quadratic inequality. So by taking the intersection of these 3 answers, we get the last answer where x is between 1 plus square root of 2 divided by 2 and 2. Okay, example 6. Well, it's for a different type of inequality. Here they are both under the radicals, and f of x square in the root is less than square root of g of x. So what we do, we take the square of both sides, and we say that f of x is bigger or equal to 0. So that's our condition. And by solving these simultaneous equations, we get a quadratic inequality. X squared minus 3x plus 1 is less than 0, and we get x bigger or equal to 2, x less than or equal to 0. So by analyzing all these 3 ranges, we get the final answer. It will be x between 2 and 3 plus square root of 5 divided by 2. Okay, and for your individual works, you can see the answers. Here for the first one, you have the range till the infinity. As you can see in the second example, your range is between 1 and 2, and then the third one and the fourth one. So let's move on to the next. Here we should make a reflection on our lesson. In pairs with your partner, you have to discuss these questions. What new information have you learned today? Was it new for you? The inequalities and equations, were you able to solve it before? Have you known anything about it? So let's discuss it, and what was easy to follow and what wasn't. So when I was explaining you the irrational equations and inequalities, what was hard for you to understand? And the third question that you should discuss is, would you like to know more about this topic? Okay. And the references that I have used here, I have shown you 2 books and a link where you can access and get some tests, and you can learn more about the rational equations and inequalities, and you can deepen your learning. So this is the end of my lesson. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.